and welcome to the stunning Cheshire countryside and to Oulton Park for the next rounds of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championships. Now, last time out, Cadwell Park, we saw some incredible racing and that amazing double red flag at the end with that stunning crash. Now, hopefully we won't get that sort of crash this time round, but we will have equally good racing out there. It's pretty changeable weather conditions. We're hoping it's going to clear up for race time. Let's see what happens.
Thanks, Bryn. It's the Group B boys first, with Jiri Horolek and Paul Bishop starting on the front row. Row 2, Scott Leach and Jake Simpson, and they're followed by Michael Fisk and Chris Hart. Fourth row, Kevin Brent with Ian Tomlinson for company, and on row 5, Callum Edwards and Stephen Andrew. Andrew Caird next with Tony Liversidge, and then Bruce Carter and Matthew Tasker. Row 8, Paul Yeomans with Graham Colby. On row 9, it's Danny Green in treble 1 and John Coburn-Evans. Penultimate row, Harry Dean and Dale Whiteman. The grid completed by William Stevenson. A wet Oulton Park, lights out on the international circuit. Jiri Horolek in lime green. Alongside him is Paul Bishop. Right of shot, the all-white car of Jake Simpson, 188. Up the inside line comes the black and blue car of Chris Hart, but he's been beaten away by Scott Leach as we go on board with Kevin Brent from row 4. Ian Tomlinson has gone off on the grass. Very tricky, it's wet on the circuit, it's even wetter on the grass. Tomlinson's gone across the track and collected a couple of cars. One of those is 77 John Coburn-Evans, so that move had ramifications right the way down the order. Ian Tomlinson qualified on row 4 for this race. Cracking move there. Past Paul Bishop goes Chris Hart in 22, so Hart now up to try and challenge Jiri Horolek, who's side by side with Jake Simpson as they come up to Shell Oils, the hairpin on the far reaches of the circuit. And he looks down the inside. Potentially, a lot of drivers say there's an outside line on that bank Shell Oils corner. But out front, it's Scott Leach from Jake Simpson, Jiri Horolek. Then Paul Bishop in 44, chasing Chris Hart in 22. We go on board with Bishop. So the Lincolnshire-based driver, ex-Formula Ford and Clio Scholarship man, raced in the 750 Motor Club Stock Hatch Championship, the BRSCC Ford XR Challenger, coming down from Hilltop into Hislop, side by side for third place. Horolek with Chris Hart. This is great racing between these guys. Very, very wet and slippery out there. They come through Knickerbrook and climb up Clay Hill to be greeted by flashing lights. Safety car for that incident kicked off when Ian Tomlinson went on the grass. As I said, very slippery on the tarmac. Even more slippery on the grass for Tomlinson to recover. We're about to go racing again. Safety car is into pit lane, and it's Scott Leach that leads still from Jake Simpson second. Jiri Horolek is third. Fourth place, Chris Hart. Paul Bishop comes through next. Kevin Brent in the mix as well. Everybody's restarted safely, but we go side by side for the lead, and Jake Simpson goes through to go down Cascades. Jake Simpson takes the lead in 188. This is fourth Class B race of the year. Just a reminder that all of the drivers qualify, do the qualifying session. The top half of the drivers go into Group A. The bottom half from qualifying go into this group, Group B. Now the aim here, of course, is to win the race, but ultimately, if you can't win the race, to get into the top 5, which means you get promoted into Group A for race 2, and the bottom 5 from race 2, or non-finishers, will get demoted or relegated into this group for their race. Now for Simpson, he's been on the bubble all season so far. This is his fourth Group B race, and the fourth time that he's found himself in a potential podium position. He's had 3 other podia so far this year. So Jiri Horolek is chasing him with Chris Hart there as well. Green flags being waved as it's their first lap of racing action after the safety car. Horolek getting a little bit defensive, just over a little bit towards the centre of the track, and that's to fend off Chris Hart. Through goes Paul Bishop. There is Kevin Brent in 41. Michael Fisk in car number 8 is in the mix as well. So Fisk followed by Brent. Brent looks up the inside here. You saw just how on the edge these cars were as they came out of Hislop's now. Clay Hill into Druids. and it's Jake Simpson still leading. Scott Leach doing all he can to try and fight back. The Blendini Motorsport prepared car of Jiri Horolek. He's now challenging for second place, so Jiri looking for second. A little bit of contact between the two, and Jiri's got onto the escape road. He's going to lose a lot of time there, and he's going to be very, very disappointed about that. So Jiri Horolek will rejoin. And you can see he did absolutely the right thing by straight lining it. He could have gained an advantage there, but he realised that he couldn't do that. So he's dropped back, but that was good, sensible driving from Jiri. Well, Jiri now coming under pressure from Paul Bishop. This time he doesn't need the escape road, but my goodness me, the pressure is on. He's lost touch a little bit with the cars in front, as you can see. Still Jake Simpson is out front from Scott Leach. Third position is Chris Hart in the 22 car, so Chris has also got fastest lap thus far. So Leach trying to close in on Jake Simpson, who's running well. We continue to focus on the scrap for fourth place. Jiri Horolek and Paul Bishop in 44. Race leader Jake Simpson still there. We go on board with Paul Bishop trying to put the pressure on Horolek at the moment. Comes down into the elite, and then he'll cross the line to tick off another lap. He's going to the inside line here. He's got a much better run out of Lodge Corner, points the car up the inside. Jiri, I'm sure, has seen him. They're level going down into Old Hall and side by side, but the inside line is with Paul Bishop, who goes through into fourth place. Jiri Horolek now down to fifth, but significantly in a position to join Group A for race 2. But look at the battle we've got for the lead. Chris Hart goes through into second, and at the same time points the car down the inside of Jake Simpson. Is he going to go through? He's going to have the inside sweep on the run down towards Island Bend. They're still side by side. Simpson here, if he can hold on, will have the inside for the hairpin. But it looks to me as if Chris Hart has got through. Jake Simpson now is defending second position along Lakeside into Shell Oil. So Chris Hart it is that has taken the lead. Two place passes in one lap. Jake Simpson second, Scott Leach is third. Paul Bishop still there in fourth position from Jiri Horolek as they go down into Britain's the hairpin, the chicane once again. Simpson second, now defending from Scott Leach in third place. And you can see just how defensive he's getting. This could give Chris Hart a chance to open up. He's the fastest man on circuit, a 2-minute 20.315. But he's still under pressure from Simpson, who's passed for the lead once. Admittedly, that was on Scott Leach earlier on in the race. And look how sideways the leader gets. Gathers it all up. Well, sponsored by Noah's Ark Cycle Shop. It's not quite that wet out there, but almost appropriate sponsor name. And Hart again getting it sideways. And remarkable car control, not only to keep it heading in the right direction, but also to maintain the momentum ahead of Jake Simpson, who must perhaps sniff the chance of retaking the lead. So Simpson chasing in 188. The Durham driver is piling the pressure on, but at the moment it's still Chris Hart out front. Simpson now receiving some attention from Scott Leach in third place. So Hart's got his head down and built a little bit of a lead. Scott Leach, what can he do? Can he get back into second position? Chris Hart, one more mistake from him, of course, would see that lead diminish. Coming offline now goes Scott Leach, looks down the inside. Is he going to be able to go through? Here's the race leader, Chris Hart. Simpson still there, and a dive down the inside. Oh no, he's too far back, is Scott Leach at the moment. So down in towards, under the Paul Warwick Bridge and in towards Lodge for the last time, and Chris Hart is here. Scott Leach still challenging for second position. Come out of the final turn, there is Dear Leap, and it looks to me like Chris Hart is going to take his first win of the year, his third Class B race. There's the checkered flag. Chris Hart takes the win, side by side for second. Jake Simpson just gets it from Scott Leach in third place. Fourth position goes to Paul Bishop from Jiri Horolek. Those guys go into Group A. Callum Edwards next from Michael Fisk, Kevin Brent, Andrew Caird ninth, and Paul Yeomans in 10th position. Chris Hart gets the fastest lap too.
Well, Scott, you started in third place, you finished in third place, you kind of moved around the grid, but ended up in exactly the same place you started.
Yes, yeah, I finished third, which I was pleased. I've been out for 12 months, but now I'm back. I really enjoy it. But I managed to get up into first, and then obviously the safety car come out, and I didn't get a good start again, and they dropped down a second, and then Chris come along. Chris drove a blinder. Nice clean racing, which is good.
Well, Jake, fourth place to second place overall. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like that. I got a good start, so it made up a little bit of places, and I had a good fun.
But of course, you're getting pushed by Chris, who took the lead and seemed to sort of cling on. That was almost unexpected that he did so well.
Yeah, Chris is quick. I'm not sure why he was behind us in the first place, because he's quite quick anyway. Because I followed him in qualifying and basically copied his lap time. So.
Well, Chris, fifth place on the grid and the first place overall. It was easy, wasn't it?
No, not for me. I saw who was in front of me on the grid, and I didn't think I'd overtake any of them. And well, I did. I think it was a bit of luck and one thing and another. Drying track, and I just stuck my neck out a bit more.
Okay then, Ben, you have had your first sort of go in the Mazdas in qualifying, and you did really well, 14th on the grid.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how I performed. Firstly, all credit has to go to the team. They've really helped me with learning, get to grips with the car, and yeah, it's a big step up from karting.
It's a very different form of racing as well. I mean, they kind of handle a bit like a kart, but it's exciting, isn't it, compared to karting?
Yeah, really exciting. With karting, normally, because it's wet today, obviously, karting you do really different lines from the dry to the wet, and you sort of carry it forwards over a little bit from the cars, but it's almost completely different, apart from the fact it's got 4 wheels and an engine.
Very much so. And so what were your first experiences, your first thoughts of the series?
Really enjoying it so far, yeah, really happy. I just want to hopefully get the budget for next year and do the whole season.
Now, you've qualified, but you've not raced yet, so you've got race number 1 of 2 coming up. What are your hopes, your dreams for this race?
First and foremost, don't wreck the car. Save all the money we can. Just don't lose too many places, maybe even go forwards.
Ben Tuck in his first race, we wish him well. Simon Goddard on pole with Will Blackwell-Chambers, then James Blake Baldwin and John Clements on row 2. Row 3, Brian Chandler and James Harris, followed by Alan Henderson and Charlie Charman. 9th place, Ben Short with Ollie Allwood alongside. 11th is Clive Powers and Martin Tolley. On row 7, Simon Baldwin and debutman Ben Tuck. 15th, Chris Greatorex and Sam Smith. And then 17th, Andy Coombs with 18th, Darren Lewis. 10th row, Roger Chesno and Gary Hufford. They're followed by Jason Greatorex and Paul Tucker. Lights out here at Oulton Park. Will Blackwell-Chambers on the outside, slots in down behind Simon Goddard. JJ Clements round the outside in the white-fronted, red-fronted, white middle, black rear end, and there's cars all over the grass, and that's Ben Tuck as we go on board with Jason Greatorex. Ben Tuck is on the grass in his car racing debut. I tell you what, that's a scary place for it to happen here at Oulton Park, but I'm sure he'll regroup. Simon Goddard is passed by JJ Clements on the inside. So he went down into Cascade. Clements making up some ground. I think he's going to go past James Harris in the black 37 car, but after all that, it's James Blake Baldwin who's come through from 3rd on the grid to lead the race. There's Martin Tolley in 23. Darren Lewis is following him as they go into Ireland for the first time. Conditions much quicker than they were for the Group B race earlier on. And of course, this is the quicker set of drivers from the meeting, the top half. So the aim here, of course, to win the race, but if you're down the back end, to steer clear of the non-finish zone or to be in the bottom 5, because then you drop down into Group B for race 2. It's Brian Chandler in 2nd, the purple machine with the white stripe. Then Ben Short in car number 4. JJ Clements next. Charlie Charman in 42, putting the pressure on James Harris. Down behind him, it's Alan Henderson in white, the number 3 car. Alan Henderson, who, of course, we saw taking 2 wins, 2 fastest laps and a 2nd place at Cadwell Park, the triple header, which followed the triple header at Anglesey. James Blake Baldwin still out front from Brian Chandler. This is Brian's second meeting of the season. We saw him at Anglesey taking a brace of runner-up positions plus 4th place, so he's putting big pressure on the race leader at the moment. And JJ Clements coming down on the inside to take 3rd position away from Ben Short. Great move by Clements. Is he going to make it stick? Lap 5, over Hilltop goes the race leader, James Blake Baldwin, who, as you can see, has developed a lead from Brian Chandler. Chandler's got his mirrors full of JJ Clements. Then it's Ben Short, followed by Simon Goddard, Alan Henderson in white 3, Charlie Charman still dicing with James Harris. These two have had a superb race thus far, nip and tuck right between the two of them. Now on the front of the 37 car, you can probably see the website address of Rob Boston, one of the top production sports car racers of our generation. I'm sure you know he's a great engineer as well, and engineering David Pittard in the Ginetta GT4 Super Cup this year. And on the Ginetta theme, Ben Tuck, who we were talking to pre-race, was one of the Ginetta Junior Scholarship finalists this year, or last year I should say, 2013. As off goes Martin Tolley. Tolley's off. Oh, that's bitter disappointment for car 23 into the tyre walls. He had something break. That's his first non-finish of the year, sadly. Took 2nd and fastest lap at Silverstone, 3rd place in race 2, and Oulton Park not being kind to him for sure. Charlie Charman still in front of James Harris in the Rob Boston prepared car. Rob, of course, a former champion in Mazda racing, then moved over to Lotus, still uses his engineering expertise to help out some of the guys on the grid here. And Charman in the Blink car holds on. Charlie, the 40-year-old from Fleet in Hampshire. James Harris, the younger of the two drivers, comes from Leamington Spa. And it really has been cat and mouse between these two. I guess the pair of them would just like to maybe stop the battle and crack on and try and catch the car in front, but of course you never quite know how a race is going to pan out. Up in front of them, it's Alan Henderson in 32, in car number 3, beg pardon, the 32-year-old from Stanley in County Durham. Henderson, one of the ever-presents in Group A throughout the season, and a double winner at Cadwell Park, as we said. Ben Short putting massive pressure on JJ Clements. Now you saw how squirrely Clements got as they went down into Hislops, and we go back on board with Simon Goddard, who's keeping a watching brief of the battle in front of him. Goddard, who seemed to do so well in the Group B races when he's really raced out of position. The race leader's clear. James Blake Baldwin, Brian Chandler in purple. And this is the scrap that we were looking at from Simon Goddard's car. Massive sideways moment there for JJ Clements, who goes wide. Scrubs off a significant amount of speed. And Ben Short goes through on the inside. Simon Goddard's going to try and go through as well. They're side by side through Lodge Corner and down into Dearly. Goddard's challenging as well, and I think has got through. One little mistake just goes to show you how easy it is for a mistake to be caused and to scrub off speed. Well, safety car is out or off the circuit into pit lane, and we resume action. Simon Goddard at the moment is ahead of JJ Clements in 5th, so Goddard and Clements renew battle. Ben Short ahead of them in 3rd place, Brian Chandler 2nd ahead of them, and still at the top of the stack is James Blake Baldwin, who probably could have done without the safety car. On board with Simon Goddard, side by side with JJ Clements. They're giving each other room at the moment, but Goddard's got a wheel on the grass. That could cause a problem. He looks across, pretty equal for pace at the moment. Clements is going to have the inside line into Ireland and makes the place. Now what's Goddard going to do? Goes to the outside of the track, losing it slightly onto the grass. This could be a nasty hit. I think the gravel and the sideways, I think Goddard managed to get the car sideways to lessen the blow, and he's going to rejoin the race. But it's still James Blake Baldwin out front, so looks like Simon Goddard, for the 3rd time this year, is going to find himself in Group B. We've seen him win races from there. If he's classified at the back of this group, he will start from Group B, but at the front of Group 2B. as we look at Ben Short putting the pressure on Brian Chandler. Alan Henderson looking at the inside of JJ Clements as well. Well, this has been an enthralling 20-minute race for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5's round 9 of the championship. As up the hill goes James Blake Baldwin, still ahead of Brian Chandler. Ben Short is following. And Blake Baldwin still soaking up the pressure from Brian Chandler. Ben Short a little bit away at the moment. JJ Clements goes through in 4th place, coming under pressure from Alan Henderson, who must fancy his chances here of a few extra points. And Henderson's going to have a look, goes to the inside, back to the outside line as they come through Lodge. Now is Chandler going to make a move here? They go through Dearly, and it's James Blake Baldwin who crosses the line and takes the checkered flag from Brian Chandler in 2nd, Ben Short 3rd, JJ Clements 4th, who holds off Alan Henderson ahead of Charlie Charman. Coming through ahead of James Harris was Simon Baldwin. There in 147, the white car with the purple trim is Ben Tuck on his debut, finishes in 14th place. So great recovery from Ben from that first lap. But look at the camaraderie between 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the race. James Blake Baldwin, Brian Chandler and Ben Short acknowledging each other as well as the race fans here at Oulton Park. Blake Baldwin takes the win. Brian Chandler 2nd but gets fastest lap from Ben Short. Then JJ Clements and Alan Henderson. Charlie Charman in 6th place from Simon Baldwin. James Harris next from Andy Coombs. And Darren Lewis in 10th.
Well, what a race. That was a fantastic performance from all 3 drivers. I'm here. Let's go over to the winner first of all. Why not? How was it?
Yeah, no, it was good. Managed to break away. It was complete carnage at the start, and but then the safety car closed us all back up again, and it was sprint to the line. So,
you did break away, then the safety car came out and you got a lead again, but you were getting pegged back by this man to your right, Brian.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't realise it was dry till halfway through, so a bit slow and getting hampered at the beginning. Yeah, squirming around like a tadpole I was.
There seemed to be a lot of people moving around as well. I mean, JJ, he sort of dropped back at some stage, and then Ben here came flying through. Did you get to see much of the action there from the front?
I was looking at my mirrors. I mean, I knew where Ben was starting on the grid, and I thought he'd pull something out of the hat, but I didn't quite realise that he'd managed to tadpole his way all the way up to the top. So, no, he did well.
It's important to tadpole your way, I always find. Now, Brian, when you were looking in your mirrors, there was a lot of action going around you because of the fact that James had got ahead of you, but so much going around. How conscious were you of the cars around and losing track position, that sort of thing?
Yeah, at the beginning, JJ and Ben was stabbing up the inside, left, right and centre. So, yeah, it was quite hectic at the beginning. Then, luckily, it panned out a little bit and Ben had his mirrors full of JJ.
He did indeed, and he was wriggling like a tadpole, and he made it all the way up to 3rd place.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bit of a first corner off ski, and there were people scattered all over the place like fish eggs or something. So yeah, the race started off really well for me, and then I just tucked in behind JJ Clements to start off with. Opportunity arose for me to pass him, and then yeah, just worked with the other 2 loonies, and basically just made it to the end of the race really.
Well, I'm here with Kevin Brent. We saw the crash at Cadwell Park last time out. I want to catch up with Kevin and find out what happened inside the car and how you're feeling.
Yeah, well, I don't remember all of it. I remember just running up to it and just at the top of Charlie's, just coming out on the Park straight, just getting collected from behind and having no control whatsoever, just going straight at the barrier, head on at probably 85, maybe 90 mile an hour, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen the footage. You look pretty horrendous and you went end on end.
So I understand. I don't thankfully remember all of that. I do remember, the next thing I remember really is looking at my feet, seeing the fire extinguisher foam all over the feet, and there was somebody by my side just helping me get unbuckled and stuff.
So with that kind of incident, I mean, that's pretty rare to have, although in motorsport it happens, but that kind of incident to that severity, what's it like getting back in the car? I know we're at a different circuit, but getting back in the car and racing again?
Yeah, it was a bit daunting, and that's why I wanted to do it straight away rather than leave it through till August or whatever. And if it hadn't been for Martin and his team, there's no way I'd have got back. And Scott Leach has lent me his car for the weekend, which must have taken a bit of going on his part. But it was a bit daunting, particularly the first time out here, and just getting used to a new car, but also having other cars around you again. It's just a bit tricky, but I'm getting there.
good to see Kevin Brent back with us. Simon Goddard on pole though, Will Blackwell-Chambers alongside row 2, Martin Tolley and Oliver Allwood. Then it's Roger Chesno and Callum Edwards, followed by Michael Fisk. Kevin Brent 8th for this one. Andrew Caird next with Paul Yeomans in 10th place. Stephen Andrew 11th and Graham Colby alongside in car 55. Then it's Matthew Tasker and Bruce Carter on row 7. Row 8, John Coburn-Evans and Dale Whiteman, followed by Tony Liversidge 142 and Harry Dean, William Stevenson and Ian Tomlinson completing the 20-car grid. The final Group B race of the day, a great start by Simon Goddard in red, but on his outside Will Blackwell-Chambers has got the drop this time, a much better start, side by side as they go into Old Hall, but it's Goddard that leads, Chambers in second, very crowded field going around the first turn. They've all behaved themselves exceptionally, as you can see. Drier conditions for the Group B boys this time. Goddard in front, it's Roger Chesno in 105 who's third, followed by Michael Fisk. Car number 8 up from row 4 into 4th position. So great start from Fisk as they go along Lakeside for the first time. Blackwell-Chambers tees up the car down the inside as they come through Island Bend. I think he's going to get the lead. Yes, he does. So Simon Goddard down to second. Will Blackwell-Chambers takes the race lead. Major size. Kevin Brent's off again. In 41, Kevin Brent. Now, was he forced wide there, hit into the tyres? Well, he's had no luck at all, has he, in the last 2 meetings? I think he's going to get the car back on track, which is the good news. So Michael Fish challenging for third. Lap 8 here at Oulton Park, and we're in car with Simon Goddard chasing hard, the race leader Will Blackwell-Chambers, who started second on the grid, made a great start, got the run at this point on the circuit to take the lead on lap 1 from Simon Goddard, who continues his chase. Will Blackwell-Chambers, well, we haven't seen him since Silverstone. He took 7th and 4th position, was 7th in the championship last year, and Simon Goddard really taking the battle to him, but he can't find anything there. That would be the outside. If you went through on the inside, if you came through on the inside of the exit of Shell Oils, it will be the outside for the first part of Britain's, but you can see he's piling the pressure on, and he could do that. He's got a massive amount of space. These two guys, of course, normally in Group A, they've built up a big lead over Michael Fisk and Roger Chesno, 3rd and 4th in the race at the moment here. Blackwell-Chambers would dearly like to try and build a lead, but Simon Goddard, he's piling the pressure on. Look how defensive Blackwell-Chambers gets. Moves across towards the inside of the circuit, back to the outside. You allow one move across. This is all good, clean racing from the pair of them at the moment. Goddard gets the line through Druids, a slightly wider entrance down the hill under the Paul Warwick Bridge, coming up to where our camera is now at Lodge Corner, effectively the last corner on the lap. They'll then negotiate the ups and downs of Deer Leap and come back to tick off another lap. But Will Blackwell-Chambers goes across the line, still leading from Simon Goddard. We can't see, as I say, 3rd place Michael Fisk is there at the moment. Goddard's got the fastest lap back on lap 4, 2 minutes 6.782 seconds. So he's got the pace when he needs it. He just needs to string a few consistent laps together and maybe find a chink in the armour of the race leader. Down Cascades and into Denton's. He's still chasing hard. Getting closer, I think, to the curb. Runs wide on the exit. This is where he had the off, or coming to the point where he had the off in the first race. Looks to the outside line here as they come through Island Bend. The sweeping left-hander. And they get so close. We stay on board. Look how close you get to the barriers here. The barriers come out. They get so close to the barriers there. You've got to have nerves of steel round the banking as they come through Island Turn. Out of there. Again, you don't get a feel of just how steep the banking is. I've stood at the bottom and the head's not level with the top. It's over 6 feet from top to bottom of the banking at Island, but they're coming through Britain's up to Hilltop. And down in towards Hislop, and the 2nd place man Simon Goddard piling the pressure on. Goddard comes out wide. Is he going to have a look here? The pass would be a dive down the inside. Is he going to sell him a dummy? Maybe think about it. He's too far back at the moment on Blackwell-Chambers, who's going to hold on to the race lead here. This, remember, race 2B, Group B, the drivers in the second half of qualifying, and the drivers that finished in the bottom 5 or retired from race number 1 of Group A, and Goddard is still all over the back of Will Blackwell-Chambers. He wants to get that position 1 back that he held off the start, but at the moment he can't do it, and Blackwell-Chambers continues to lead this race. It's been an enthralling 20 minutes for these guys. I think we're going to get another lap out of this race yet. Goddard goes to the outside line. Well, he's still chasing hard, so into Lodge Corner. Down Deer Leap, Blackwell-Chambers best lap at 2:7.004. Across the line they go, completing the penultimate lap, and now just 2.6 miles to go for Blackwell-Chambers, who soaked up all the pressure so far. Simon Goddard piling the pressure on as well. Goddard's had some great television coverage this year, albeit from his point of view he won't be very happy about having had it in the Group B races, but you can see what a great racer he is from the footage we've seen. And again, looks at the inside line of Blackwell-Chambers down the hill. Will knows out front that he's got the faster line out of that corner, pulls a length or so clear as they go along the Lake View into Ireland Bend once again. Goddard starting to mount his attack again. It'll flick on the steering wheel. That's where he went off earlier on. The stricken car of Callum Edwards to the outside there. So Callum sadly out of the race. So he'll be watching this battle with everybody else here at Oulton. And Blackwell-Chambers looking for, he had a DNF in race number 1, which plopped him down into Group B for this race too. And he's done superbly, taking the lead on lap 1, and so far has soaked up all the pressure, but Goddard will not let go until the checkered flag comes out. Down the hill into Hislops. Again, you can see such a big gap to Michael Fisk, who's running in 3rd, but you can't see Fisk, or Roger Cheslow indeed, who's in 4th position, but these two racing hard up Clay Hill for the last time. Look at the climb under the pedestrian footbridge here. You can watch pretty much all the way around the circuit here at Oulton Park. A glorious place for a day out to watch some racing, and this is what we've seen. Great racing between Goddard and Blackwell-Chambers, who leads on this last lap. Goddard still very, very close as they go out of Druids, and he pulls to the inside line. He's having a look. Blackwell-Chambers comes across in defence and hangs onto it. Goddard goes back to the outside line, maybe to get a run out of Lodge Corner, where they come into now. Blackwell-Chambers, you can see defending, and that's possibly why he hasn't had the faster laps, because his overall speed's been compromised slightly. But it's Blackwell-Chambers surely that's going to take the win. There's the checkered flag, which is waved, and Blackwell-Chambers takes it by 0.2 of a second from Simon Goddard in 2nd place. Here's Michael Fisk, he's running in 3rd. It's going to be a podium for Michael Fisk. Here's Michael, a little way down, 18 seconds down on the 1st and 2nd position scrap, and he takes 3rd place. But that one at the sharp end, all about Blackwell-Chambers and Simon Goddard, who finished 1st and 2nd. Michael Fisk 3rd from Roger Cheslow, then it's Stephen Andrew Caird in 6th from Paul Yeomans, Tony Liversidge next from Harry Dean, and John Coburn-Evans in 10th.
Well, Michael, you started 7th on the grid, but because of a strange situation you moved up to 5th.
Yeah, not really sure what happened there, but you're a little bit happy when you see you're a little bit further up. Better chance to get a good result. Got a good start. Managed to get 4th into turn 1, and then thought I was going to be in for a long battle, but a mistake in front of me sort of gifted me 3rd place, and a bit of a lonely race from there.
Do you know, you say a lonely race, it was just a lonely drive, wasn't it? It was like going out for a Sunday drive in the afternoon.
Yeah, I thought about pushing on a little bit, but I was just concerned for just hold on to the 3rd. Saw 4th was catching me, but I had enough of a margin to keep that.
Simon, cracking race there, that was brilliant.
Yeah, very exciting race, very close, very fair. Obviously the first race was a bit of a disaster. Ended up from pole last, had a big moment and hit the wall, but the Blendini boys did a marvellous job, got the Blendini hammer out and straightened it up for seconds to spare before we hit the second race. Started in pole, and to be honest, you know, Will and I kind of pulled away fairly quickly, and then it was just a very, very tight battle right the way through, swapping and changing places.
That's right, there was a huge gap between you and 3rd place, and it really was just you two out there on your own.
Yeah, kind of guess it was going to be a bit like that because we were, doing quite well in the A race. But it was nice to actually have a bit of a battle and, coming away from a few points from the weekend, but, an enjoyable last race, actually, really close.
Well, I'm here with race winner Will. That was a fantastic race. You started off first, you fell back to second, and it was neck and neck for quite a few laps there.
No, it was a good clean race for Simon, very enjoyable. We had lots of little looks, and then eventually I managed to get back past after I lost it. And no, it was a good race, really enjoyed it.
We were watching you as we kept going past the start-finish line there, and you kept going down the left-hand side, and at the end you have to creep back in, and you almost had him at one time, but then you're on the wrong side for the next turn.
Yeah, well, Simon was defending well on the right-hand side, so I didn't have any option there, so I decided to go left and sort of give it a go and see what happened. It didn't work, but we eventually managed to pull it in and got back past.
Welcome back to Oulton Park, where James Blake Baldwin starts on pole with Brian Chandler, Ben Short third, and JJ Clements on the outside of row 2. Row 3, Alan Henderson with Charlie Charman, and behind them Simon Baldwin and James Harris. The fifth row of the grid sees Andy Coombs and Darren Lewis, and then Sam Smith in 31 and 7, Jason Greatrex. Row 7, 18, Clive Powles with Ben Tuck in his second car race. Paul Tucker next with Chris Greatrex, then it's Gary Hufford and Chris Hart on row 9. Row 10, Jake Simpson and Scott Leach, with Paul Bishop and Yuri Horolek completing the 22-car grid. Lights out here at Oulton Park for round 10 of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, and a great start by Brian Chandler, who gets away. Up into second place goes Ben Short. Not a great start by James Blake Baldwin, who's got work to do. Yuri Horolek goes wide off onto the grass. Well, he made it up from Group B, and he's really giving himself plenty of work to do there in the 11th car as the massed ranks of BRSCC Mazda MX-5s come down Old Hall for the first time. Car number 7, Jason Greatrex, up challenging James Harris, so he's made progress. Jason Greatrex starting on the outside of row 6. Charlie Charman with Simon Baldwin for company. Baldwin's got ahead, so Charman off goes. That's Gary Hufford in the white car and Paul Tucker in red 68. Both of those guys off the circuit. Well, fairly typically you do get a lot of action around Ireland. It's such a tricky corner, and it's caught a few drivers out this weekend on board with Chris Greatrex, and problems there for Andy Coombs in yellow. Coombs hopefully will be able to rejoin, but out front Brian Chandler from James Blake Baldwin. Major scrap going on for third place. It's Ben Short holding at the moment, then JJ Clements, Alan Henderson in 3, Simon Baldwin in the red car with the black stripes coming under pressure from Charlie Charman, and we go on board with Charlie, climbing up Clay Hill under the pedestrian footbridge. Race pace, of course, anything but pedestrian here in the Mazdas. Charlie has a quick look in his mirrors to see who's behind him. He's got a bit of breathing space at the moment, so he can continue his attack as we look at the stream of cars contesting third place. James Blake Baldwin with his win in race number 1, looking to try and pass Brian Chandler here. JJ Clements and Ben Short side by side. Alan Henderson's coming up into the mix as well. Car number 3, the white 3, Alan Henderson looking to make up a place. So on the third lap here at Oulton Park, there is Henderson, who's now got JJ Clements in front of him. Ben Short having consolidated third place, and the lead pair not getting away too far at the moment, but a challenge on, and James Blake Baldwin back into the lead. So Blake Baldwin leads down the hill from Brian Chandler in second position. The status quo from race 1 has been resumed with Ben Short third, then JJ Clements and Alan Henderson behind. Those three squabbling over the last podium position at the moment. Well, are we going to see another win for James Blake Baldwin here? More cars off the circuit. It's proving to be a tricky race. Green flag still out as Clive Powles rejoins the circuit. It's going to be a little way down the order. We've lost Yuri Horolek as well as Paul Tucker and Gary Hufford from that one incident, but here is Ben Short still piling the pressure on. Simon Baldwin has now managed to get himself up ahead of Alan Henderson in white. Then coming through is Sam Smith. Very easy to pick out the pink livery. Sam Smith's making great progress. Started down in, let me see, 11th position inside of row 6. As this great podium scrap continues, and Ben Short down the inside. And JJ Clements still in 4th place, the race leader, starting to develop a bit of a lead away from these guys at the moment. JJ Clements coming under pressure from Simon Baldwin. Alan Henderson in white looks down the inside. Is he going to go through? Sam Smith in 31 teeing himself up. Here we go on board with the West Erin Plant Limited car, looking at the inside line as they come along the main straight. You've got to pick your line here and decide who's going to go, and instinct will tell you that the inside line is going to be the way through. Look how close these cars are getting, under braking into Old Hall. Wonderful racing by these Mazdas, some great racing provided by the BRSCC, and Sam didn't find a way through, and neither did Alan Henderson in car number 3. Sam Smith looks down the inside as they get to the bottom of the hill, around the left-hander, goes back in line, and he'll chase Alan Henderson as we approach the halfway stage of this 20-minuter once again. So there is Clements from Simon Baldwin, and then Alan Henderson in 3, Sam Smith next. Darren Lewis in 285 is climbing up through the order as well, but back with Sam Smith through Shell Oil's corner. Power their way out of there. Slight right-hand kick before they come down into Britain's, the chicane. You can see the race leaders away and down the road, James Blake Baldwin and Brian Chandler. Here's the view in car once again from Sam Smith. Alan Henderson going on the attack here in white. It's in the outside lines that come down into the Hislop's Knickerbrook chicane. Coming through Knickerbrook now goes Ben Short, who is staying at the moment in third place, up ahead of JJ Clements, and then Simon Baldwin behind them. So Ben Short podium in his first race of the year in our first race, with 2 Bens having their first race. Ben Tuck having his first ever car race, as you heard in the first one, and Ben Short having his first race for 2014 in the championship. Simon Baldwin putting JJ Clements under pressure. Ben Short looking pretty comfortable at the moment in 3rd. Sam Smith is trying to make progress as well. Look at the back end of the white car of Alan Henderson. Charlie Charman at the back of the group behind 285. Darren Lewis, but back out front, Brian Chandler and James Blake Baldwin. This has been a superb race from these two. They've got their heads down. They've managed to pull away. That's their speed plus maybe the defensive nature initially of that 3rd place scrap. And Blake Baldwin looks as if he could be on for another win. Remember, had a non-finish at Silverstone in round 1 of the championship. Not the way you want to start the year, but we do have adjusted points with the drop score situation that comes into play. So Blake Baldwin will be able to utilise that, but as I say, really you don't want one of those in the opening race of the year, but he certainly bounced back from that. He took a win in race 2 at Silverstone for Group B, as he continues to soak up the pressure from Chandler. A treble, including 3 fastest laps at Anglesey, win, 3rd and fastest lap, and a 5th at Cadwell Park. And he's going to be gunning for a brace of wins here at Oulton, but Brian Chandler still piling the pressure on. Blake Baldwin comes to the racing line, not defensive at all, even though the 76 car is so close. This is great racing from the pair, and James Blake Baldwin looking very good. Brian Chandler trying everything that he can, and now glues himself to the rear spoiler, the rear end of the car in front as we approach the closing stages of this race. Wait for 1st and 2nd to come back into view. Look at Chandler, he's all over the back of the race leader. Brian Chandler in 76, gunning for his first win of the year if he can get it. 2 seconds and a 4th. Remember, at Anglesey, this is just his 2nd event of the year. Wide line chops back in, too far back to do anything about it. There's a great shot which shows just how far 1st and 2nd have got clear of the field here at Oulton Park. Out of Deer Leap and up to the checkered flag. James Blake Baldwin makes it 2 out of 2. Brian Chandler is 2nd. 3rd place is going to go to Ben Short. Ben Short crosses the line in third place from JJ Clements. Then it's Simon Baldwin and Sam Smith in fifth ahead of Alan Henderson. Darren Lewis seventh from James Harris and Charlie Charman. But news coming through from race control that Ben Short being given a time penalty for being out of position at the start, but no disputing the winners, James Blake Baldwin and Brian Chandler, who acknowledge each other on the slowing down lap here at Oulton Park. It's been a great weekend for those guys. There's Yuri Horolek's car, sadly, who pulled up after lap 1. But the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship once again providing us with some great racing here at Oulton Park, and a double for James Blake Baldwin and 2 second positions and the fastest lap for Brian Chandler. Fastest lap in race 2 went to Alan Henderson, who finished down in 6th place behind Blake Baldwin, Chandler, JJ Clements, Simon Baldwin and Sam Smith. Darren Lewis 7th from James Harris, with Charlie Charman 9th and Ben Short in 10th place.
Well, a strange race because on track wasn't the full result, but I'm here with the winner. James, well done.
Yeah, cool, thank you. Went well. Brian's bloody quick as per usual. Yeah, he was right on my tail all the way around. And,
you two don't seem to leave each other alone, do you?
I like playing with him.
This has got to go on telly.
Yeah, on track.
Exactly, but you sort of get ahead and you seem to sort of stay there, but you're clean fighting all the time mostly?
Yeah. James is so fast that, you know, wherever he is, I can stay with him. But overtaking is a different matter. So yeah, just sit there.
Now, leaving these two out of it, you guys in 3rd place, so 4 or 5 cars most of the time. You're going for it. It was mental racing.
Yeah, it was getting a train going on. I think. Yeah, the tyres started going off a bit towards the end, and it was mad. It was getting. I got 5th a few times coming out of some of the chicanes. So I was getting bumped along down the. Getting bumped along, luckily. Apart from that, yeah, it was good fun.
Well, that's it for us here at Oulton Park, and the weather playing a huge part in proceedings as predicted. Now I hope to see you next time for more action.